We are going to get started. Clerk, if you could do roll call, please.
Mayor Baxter,
Here.
Commissioner Flores,
Present.
Commissioner Marino,
Here.
Commissioner Powell,
Here.
Commissioner Sachs, Commissioner Weiss,
Here.
Vice Mayor Woodward. Here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you're able, please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. We ask you, God, to bless this meeting of people who earnestly desire to do their work in the best possible way, to benefit those we serve, and to leave our children a better world. Please give us the wisdom and vision to plan adequately and act correctly to achieve these ends. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are going to move on to notice and proof of publication. And I will entertain a motion to receive and file.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Powell and a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 7-0. County Attorney, if you would swear everyone in.
Everybody wishing to speak on today's items, please rise. Do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you. Deputy County Administrator, do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
You have no add delete this morning, Mayor.
Thank you so much. I will entertain, well, we don't need to do a motion if we have none, do we? Please. Would anyone like to pull anything from consent?
Need to adopt the agenda.
Oh, let's adopt the agenda as,
So moved.
okay, I have a motion by Vice Mayor Woodward. I have a second by Commissioner Sachs. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 7-0. Would anyone like to pull anything from consent? Okay. Moving on to disclosures for consent. We will start right to left. Commissioner Marino?
I have no disclosures on anything today, but none on consent, thank you.
Commissioner Powell?
No disclosures.
Vice Mayor Woodward?
No disclosures.
Commissioner Flores?
No disclosures.
Commissioner Weiss?
No disclosures.
And Commissioner Sachs? I also have none. Moving on to regular agenda.
Mayor Baxter,
There's nothing on consent.
Excuse me,
The,
it was
Clerk.
me. Mayor Baxter.
oh, here.
I believe there were 2 residents that submitted cards on item number 1 that was postponed.
Commissioner Flores, you have cards?
This is on the postponement, so
Yep.
are we going to address those?
Attorney Darren?
So because there's no action to be taken by the board, we don't have to have public comment on this item, so that's,
If they came all the way down here, we'll give them each 3 minutes.
All right.
Please call them up.
So we have Gregory Tammany, sorry, I apologize, and Cynthia Briggs.
If you would, Cynthia, please come to the other podium, so when he's done.
And I believe the comments have to be kept to just a
Just
postponement.
in regards to the postponement.
Right. Can I talk about the community?
No, only your opinions on the postponement is what we ask.
I appreciate the postponement. I think the consensus in the area is to defend District 6, and it doesn't fit appropriately. So I just appreciate the delay, and I hope it is permanently delayed.
Thank you so much.
Hi, this is my first time attending one of these meetings.
Welcome.
Thank you. So we'll see how this works. I have some documentation that I would like to enter for your review.
If
I
someone
could.
from staff or the clerk could,
Thank you very much. My name is Cynthia Briggs.
Thank you.
My home is Arden. Since all this began, I've been extremely stressed. I just want to read to you a little bit what I found. What a data center does to where you live and how far the damages reach. At the fence line, the air around a data center is not the same air you grew up breathing. Diesel backup generators with these facilities required by the dozens and hundreds release fine particulate matter and nitrogen oxides links to asthma, heart disease, and respiratory illness. The noise never stops. Internal noise levels can reach up to 96 decibels, well above the 85 decibels considered harmful to human hearing. One resident in Virginia said he can no longer open his windows. Another put mattresses against the glass to block it out. The light from a hyperscale facility, which would be next to Arden, runs all night, disrupting the natural circadian rhythms of the body. The land changes. The average data center site in 2024 covered about 224 acres, roughly 450 football fields, a 144% increase in footprint since 2022.
ma'am,
The water,
with all this information, which I greatly appreciate and sympathize with, are you for or against the
I
postponement?
do oppose. I have one more thing to say, if I could. What is happening across our nation serves as a warning. We don't have to litter our state with unsustainable centers. There is a way forward for us to coexist with these centers. Oceanic data centers offer an innovative approach to infrastructure, uniting sustainability, efficiency, and resilience. As advancements continue and successful projects emerge, oceanic data centers are poised to transfer data management and minimize environmental impact. Before making a final decision, I urge you to visit Arden to see what is at stake. Take a walk by the lake, visit the barn and the lake house, then take a deep breath and feel your stress slip away. Then look to your left and imagine a hyperscale data center being constructed.
Thank you. County Attorney, do we need to vote on the postponement?
No, it's already been postponed.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to regular agenda then.
Item number 3 is ABN 2025-1101, King of Kings. The request before the board is a development order abandonment to abandon the previously approved Class A conditional use for a place of worship. Would you like a presentation on this?
Whose district is this?
Yours.
Sorry. Okeechobee and,
Seminole Pratt is on the,
oh, King, I got you.
yeah, King of Kings. Existing place of worship, the applicant wants to utilize the current code, which allows those as an administrative approval rather than a board approval.
Would you do a brief presentation, please?
Good morning. James Hackett, representing the applicant, who is actually Palm Beach Hindu Mandir. Palm Beach Hindu Mandir has been on the property for the last 14 years. They are looking to do some minor improvements at minor square footage do a lift station, a private lift station to connect to the sewer that's out on Okeechobee Boulevard. It's actually a beautiful temple out there. I've had the opportunity to speak with Indian Trail Improvement District, Jay Foy, and as well as...
Excuse me, sir. Commissioner Powell, did you need or want to say something?
Can you speak into the mic?
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I missed, did someone say my name again? I apologize. Oh, okay. I had an opportunity to speak to Indian Trail Improvement District, Jay Foy. We are working with them to provide them some as-built. I also had a chance to speak to the Acreage, Bob Morgan, the Acreage Landowner Association. They had no issues with this. So if there's any questions that I can answer, it's just a strict abandonment so that we have submitted the concurrent DRO application. I've resolved all the certification issues, and we're ready to move forward.
Thank you so much. I will entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss.
Second.
A second by Vice Mayor Woodward. Did you have comments?
I did.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
I actually did have a question for staff as to, we received an email about expecting this to have been on consent, and then one of the reasons that it wasn't was because the applicant had not met with the district commissioner before. Is that a policy moving forward?
Yes.
Okay, if I, just speaking for myself, because I don't know that I can always meet with everyone, and if you think it's something that truly should be on consent and they haven't met with me, I would not like to make it a policy that, you know, if they haven't gotten to me, that it has to be moved to this, because I have a lot of meetings right now, and I would just, for my own district, would say I would not want that to be a requirement for me. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Woodward, would you be okay then with at least staff reaching out to our offices to make sure we're okay with it on consent?
Okay.
If we can't meet with them? Okay. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm fine. If you don't even need to bother to reach out to my office. If you think something's should be on consent, go ahead and put it on there. And if I decide I want to pull it, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
I think we have a policy that was incorporated about a month ago where staff is going to let us know of all the oncoming or incoming applications for all of us. Is that still the policy, Wendy?
Yes.
Okay, good. So
we're sending
I
out.
know when something's coming in that's in my district, and let me tell you something. I want to see them. But that's up to me. All right, that's up to me. And maybe I don't want to see them. Maybe they want to see me and I don't want to see them. I don't know. But the bottom line is, your policy is you tell all of us the incoming applications.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. And then secondly, just want to confirm there's also a policy that if there's any applications that come in for changes or variances, that we will be notified. Because you've done a very good job, I have to say, Whitney Carroll. Thank you very much. Because, wow, this is an eye-opener on folks who get, I appreciate it very much, because you're doing very well in the policy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So yeah, just moving forward, they don't have to meet with us, but
Okay.
confirm, and you might have different direction from different commission offices.
We'll reach out. Yep.
Okay, thank you. I have a first and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 7-0.
Okay, item number 4, DOA 2024-00254 is 934 Pike Road. The request before the board is a development order amendment modifying the conditional overlay zone, specifically some conditions related to engineering and landscaping. Staff is recommending approval. The applicant is in agreement. Would you like a presentation on this one?
Would anyone like a presentation on this? Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
I just want to make a comment, and I might sound a little gnarly, but yeah, gnarly. These folks have been on this property doing this illegally, and so this is their way of getting around that and coming into compliance. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. I don't want to see this in the future. If you're doing this, I don't want to see folks almost getting this is like an okay for doing all the stuff that they were doing illegally. And now we're giving them an okay, and that's not okay with me. I realize this has been worked out and all that, but I just don't like this.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was actually just going to say that briefly before we move on and vote on number 4. We are going to do disclosures for item number 3, from right to left. Commissioner Marino? None. Commissioner Powell?
None.
Vice Mayor Woodward?
I had an email correspondence file with the clerk.
Commissioner Flores?
I have no disclosures on any of the items.
Commissioner Weiss?
No disclosures on any items.
Commissioner Sacks? I have written correspondence with James Hackett, and the emails have been filed with the clerk, no verbal and no site visit. We are going to move on, and while we're on disclosures, do disclosures for item number 4, which we are on now. None. Commissioner Marino says none. Commissioner Powell?
I have none.
Vice Mayor Woodward?
None.
Commissioner Flores? Commissioner Weiss?
None.
And Commissioner Sacks? None. I also have none. Do I have a motion to approve item number 4? I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Commissioner Flores. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 7-0.
Okay. The last item on the agenda, item number 5,
Excuse, did you, Aaron?
Is he the applicant?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to let you know that I've been working with staff. We're aware of all the issues, and staff has put conditions in to protect the county from having people come in and do things illegally. So they've already put a condition in. We've accepted the condition that they have to cease certain operations and do everything that the code requires, and the additional conditions of approval that have been put in the staff report.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, number 5.
Number 5, DOA 2025-01483 Sandalfoot Square. The request before the board is a modification to a previously approved multiple-use plan development. They're looking to add square footage, a building, and uses on the site, roughly around 5,700 square feet that they're looking to add. Would you like a presentation on this? This one is District 5.
Yes, we'll do presentation, but before, so we don't miss it, we're going to do disclosures for item number 5. Commissioner Sacks?
None.
Commissioner Weiss?
None.
Commissioner Flores? Vice Mayor Woodward?
None.
Commissioner Powell?
None.
Commissioner Marino?
None.
None for myself as well. Please proceed. Commissioner Sacks, you're recognized. Commissioner Powell asked for one. Brief, please.
I'll keep it brief. Hi, Alex Ernholtz with J. Morton Planning and Landscape Architecture, presenting the Sandalfoot Square application. So our request is just a development order amendment to add the new building to the shopping center. It's about 5,700 square feet for a restaurant and retail. To orient yourself, it's located on the northeast corner of State Road 7 and Southwest 18th Street. It's built in about 1980, and it's about a quarter mile north of the Broward County line. Our affected area is just the southern portion of the site, and my next slide will zoom into this area specifically. So it's this empty parking lot currently. It's a mix of automotive repair, restaurant, office, retail, laundromat. Exists for many years, and you can see in this aerial, the portion of the aerial that the parking lot is pretty underutilized as the MUPD is overparked. Our request is to add Building J, which is about 5,700 square feet, to the total MUPD, which will increase it to 292,000 square feet. Requires 836 parking spaces. We're still providing 914 after the building is included, which is 78 spaces extra. It'll be retail and restaurant. The restaurants will have some outdoor seating, and the setbacks are in line with the existing outparcel buildings along 18th Street. The circulation doesn't change with the right in, right out along 18th, as well as the access to the other parcels. The county took a right turn lane in the 80s and took out the landscape buffer along this portion of the roadway, so you can just see the parking lot. With this application, we're adding back in the landscape buffer as required by code, and it's a one-story inline retail and restaurant building that'll be kind of compatible with the rest of the out parcels in the area. The code requires 8 standards for a development order amendment, and according to the staff report, we're meeting all 8 standards. So the zoning commission was unanimous recommendation for approval, staff recommends approval, and we're agreeing to all conditions. So we request you also approve this. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Alex. What a great presentation.
Thank you.
With that, everything seems to be in line. There were no requests for anything, any variances, any special conditions. Everything was basically consistent, just a development order amendment.
Correct.
I think it's great. Thank you.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Commissioner Powell.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Please see if the motion carries 7-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was the end of our regular agenda. We will move on to Executive Director comments. Pat?
No comments.
Comments?
And no comments by Whitney? Okay. Zoning? Planning?
None.
No comments? Okay. County Attorney? No comments. And Pat already said no comments. Do we have any board direction? From anyone besides me, I should clarify. Commissioner Sacks, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I'd like to give direction to staff to coordinate with the Florida Department of Transportation and the Turnpike Enterprise Authority to bring a presentation to the board during the workshop meeting scheduled for May 19th, 2026, that will update the board on current and upcoming improvements to the Florida's Turnpike within Palm Beach County. The presentation shall also include details on Turnpike widening and especially noise abatement and other types of security walls along the Turnpike. Thank you.
Wow. Commissioner Woodward, you are recognized, and then Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. Just to be clear, Commissioner Sacks, which area was it going to be, east and west? Because Boca West also has similar concerns about a sound wall. So could that be for both sides of the Turnpike?
Thank you so much for that question. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because there are, this issue touches just about every district here. And I have had numerous, and I'm sure you have too, emails from, in fact, I have a file this big. So we've been in touch with the county administrator, Abruzzo, with the Turnpike Authority. And I think that this is time to, let's wrap it up. Let's see what's going to go on for all of us, not just my area, but all of us.
Okay.
So I would appreciate it. Thank you for that
All right.
question.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. And actually, I'll comment on that because the point in which I-95 and the Turnpike are closest to each other is in Palm Beach Gardens and Jupiter. And so noise walls are a big consideration up in the north end of the county. So this would be something important for all the districts along those roadways. So thank you for bringing that up. As for me, I'd like to talk about the red light cameras for a second. When and if we determine if we can do red light cameras, I would like to direct staff to talk to the municipalities about red light cameras in their municipalities, on their roadways. A lot of these will be out of our jurisdiction, so it would be probably some sort of an agreement between the red light company and the municipalities, but I think it would go a long way to show that the county is working with the municipalities for whatever issues that they may have. And schools and school safety are really important to everybody. School zone cameras? Yes. School zone cameras, exactly. Because we've only done it, we've only said unincorporated areas, but really there's schools in all areas. So it would be a continued discussion once we figure out whether we can legally do it or not. I'm sorry, red light, I'm sorry, school zone cameras. School zone speed cameras. How are we phrasing this?
Staff, are we clear?
Crystal.
School zone speed cameras. Say that 3 times fast. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I realize I left out engineering, because engineering's been very, very active in this conversation. So I just want to make sure that they know they'll be included. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to finish up. I did send out an inter-office memo to my fellow board members here. We had a building in Pahokee that was, the only word I can think of is disgusting and unlivable. It was atrocious. Like, nobody should have to live in those conditions. And when we dug into this, we found out that we are paying the city of Pahokee for code enforcement. And they're not enforcing code from what it seems, and we're having a hard time getting return phone calls from anyone with the city. So I would like staff to evaluate transitioning the services back to us so we can make sure that this is done appropriately. And because this has been a conversation, is Jonathan Brown? Haha. Would you please come up? Could you give us a brief update on where things stand?
Yes, I've reached out to the new city manager, waiting to hear back from her. I've shared with her the county's concerns as noted in the memo, as noted on the news with regards to code enforcement. The county and our action plan that we're bringing before the board next week, Tuesday, we typically would award the city of Pahokee some dollars, CDBG dollars. They use it for code enforcement. It's approximately $45,000. So I'm waiting to have a conversation with the new city manager till she can understand county's emphasis on satisfactory code enforcement.
And how long has she been in? I know she's only been there briefly, but how long has it been?
As I understand it, Tuesday was her first official day. She was
2 days ago?
2
was her
days ago
first
Tuesday.
official day?
She was appointed or hired last week, but I think Tuesday was her official first day.
And has she returned any phone calls yet?
She's not returned my call yet.
So the idea is that once we figure out if she is willing to move forward and the board is willing to move forward to help correct some of these issues, if they're not, we definitely need to not pay them to not do anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other? Commissioner Powell?
Just kicking around a thought, would that be something that we should have that individual come before us and have this broader, comprehensive discussion, or something that we should just take care of without the rigmarole of having them address the entire board? What do you think?
I think if she's new in the role, let's give her a chance.
Okay.
She's only been a couple days, and I would like to see her work with staff. I think if it gets to the point where staff is still telling us that she is not, we will invite her to come before us. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. Certainly support your concerns and where you're at. I'd just like to get clarification. Because do we have jurisdiction over their code enforcement?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commissioner, we would not. It would have to be, I would believe, and please, Scott, chime in here if I say anything off. They would have to change their code, their municipal code, to allow us to do their code enforcement for them. This would have to be an interlocal agreement between the county and the municipality. You would, of course, Commissioner, have the right not to continue the funding process as it's currently being conducted. Right. But Madam Mayor, I look forward to sitting down with the new city manager, and hopefully we could come to some form of agreement.
And has anyone reached out to Mayor Kyles?
That's South Bay.
Oh, he's South Bay.
Right, Mayor Babs is
Oh, Babs,
Pahokee.
sorry, my bad. My bad.
Commissioner, I will say their city attorney has not been responsive as well, so
Wow.
it's
Okay.
It's been problematic.
Nope, understood.
Commissioner Sachs,
Thank
you
you.
recognized?
Yeah, maybe we should have a return date where they come back and report to us, especially to you, Mayor, and to Administrator, as to what's going on, even though we may not have jurisdiction. Those are Palm Beach County people.
Well, I'm hoping part of those conversations, and I have met with staff
Okay.
in regards to this, are that the new county administrator will speak to their board, get it on an agenda, and update their code to be able to properly enforce this, because we shouldn't be spending money that isn't used appropriately. And again, I want to leave this, if we can, and they want to step up to the plate, with them. This is their community.
right.
But as a last resort, people shouldn't be living like this.
I've heard about it, yeah.
This is terrible. So again, as a last resort, then just giving it to us. But let's see if we can get the new this new city administrator on board, speak to the board, and bring some solutions to that board, and get their ordinances updated.
I agree, that's good.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I could add, the city manager did participate on her first day in a call with about 30 different agencies trying to address the immediate needs of those who were displaced. And as of yesterday, everyone has been moved to a location where they are currently housed. Some of it is temporary, working on permanent solutions, but they have all.
And how has she done that, Ms. Fields?
With a lot of community participation. It has been, the county has assisted, as well as many of the nonprofit agencies have assisted. The school district is assisting because some of those families did have children who are participating in the schools.
And was it her or this board that has been helping them?
It's many different partners. I'm just saying she did participate in the meeting when we were trying to coordinate it. The city has not specifically sheltered anyone.
Correct. It has fallen to this board to help shelter them, take care of them, and link them with nonprofits. So let's be very clear that it is this board that does an amazing job. So thank you.
Yeah, and the community services staff has really gone out of their way for those
And
residents.
our staff is amazing. Absolutely. Community services, thank you for everything you have stepped up at our direction, because we care about our residents and we want to see what's done best. And we are filling gaps that the city of Pahokee is not currently filling. So I do not want to give credit to a city for something when people are living like that. That upsets me. They have not been living in good conditions, and it hasn't been enforced properly. So I think our staff is amazing. Our partners are absolutely phenomenal. I want to work with them and give them the benefit of the doubt, give this new administrator of the city a chance. But at the end of the day, we're already lifting this, not the city. So thank you. Administrator, did you want to say something?
Madam Mayor, I think you hit the nail on the head. Your staff has been working very hard, and one of the main conduits to why those residents are being taken care of right now. Even the community partners on the nonprofit side are many partners, as we call it, that you, the board, support and, quite frankly, fund to a certain degree. So I agree with Deputy Administrator Tammy Fields that it's a community, but all roads lead back to you, Madam Mayor, and the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Thank you. If we're done with this particular issue, I'd like to bring something else up.
Hold on, Commissioner Flores also had his light on, and I'll come back to you.
So I guess my comments is sort of regarding the living conditions of this particular community, but as a whole, in the county, what happens if we have slumlords who are not keeping up with the interior of the standard of quality of living? Because I have heard many of these issues, but there's nowhere to report these, and there's nobody that enforces anything inside of the home, because code enforcement really pretty much deals with anything that they see from the exterior, not really inside. But some of these living conditions, I've seen some that have holes on the floors. I have seen refrigerators that don't work, sinks that don't work, bathrooms that don't work. The tenant writes letters, notifies the landlord. The landlord refuses to do anything, or if it does, takes forever. So what kind of protections, and I know this is coming out of left field, but how do we're talking about protecting residents. How do we protect people who are in a rent, in a lease, who gave their first, last deposit and are living in standard conditions? Where do they call? Is there a number? Is there a unit that investigates?
Mr. Brown, please, if you have an answer for Commissioner Flores.
Because this is a prevalent issue in this county and probably across the state of Florida, but I've heard from a lot of people that are living in subpar conditions.
Good morning again, everyone. We hear the same, when I was in housing, we would get the same calls. We had the ability to do inspections on deals or projects that the county funded, county was part of, because that's part of it. Unless the tenants or the residents of those units make a statement to someone, we won't have access to those units, but it's those that are living in those units that would typically be the ones
Excuse me, Mr. Brown.
contact us.
Do those tenants, is there currently, I think the question was, a portal or someplace for them to complain if they are living in subpar conditions?
They could reach out to, they've reached out to the Housing Economic Development Department before, and that's where we would typically try and get involved to see who the property managers are, to see if we, the county, have some sort of investment, because our assistance allows us access to units.
Let's hold that thought. County Administrator, would you like to?
I like where the conversation is going. Thank you, Commissioner Flores. I would love to work with you, see if we can create a portal on one of our housing and economic, or it might be code enforcement. I'd love to get into granular into the details. As you know, we have a new but great OTI staff that I'm sure we could get something stood up fairly quickly if we meet all the justification.
I think this board has made housing a priority, but I think quality of housing should also be part of that priority, because there's a lot of people out there that are being taken advantage of. And the other thing that's happening out there too is that some of these people aren't getting their deposits and some of their money refunded to them for whatever reason. But I would like us to see what kind of enforcement tools we have, and whether we have to work with state or other agencies to make sure that we're holding these landlords accountable, because if they're, technically that's a business, and they should have licenses, and they should have health inspections if that needs to be done too. But I would like to continue this conversation further. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Fox, did you want to say something?
Yes, I was just going to say there are a lot of preemptions statewide that prevent the county from having, say, a rental registration ordinance. But as far as code enforcement, we do have a property maintenance code, and code enforcement does frequently take complaints from tenants. And if the tenant invites us into a residence to inspect that residence, code enforcement will go in, will document any deficiencies, and will cite the landlord for that issue. What sometimes does happen is that the tenant, might suffer the consequences of making that complaint and allowing code enforcement in. So we do address those, but we are limited by the preemptions of state law from taking further steps, such as having a landlord-tenant registration ordinance that would allow us to go in all rental registrations, but code enforcement will take the complaints.
But if a tenant is submitting a complaint to a portal, they would be willing to let a code enforcement person in there, right?
Sure, they could certainly do that, or they could make the complaint directly to code enforcement. We don't take anonymous complaints any longer, except for life safety, but if the tenant invites us in, then code enforcement officer will go in and document any deficiencies.
That is perfect. Commissioner Powell was first. Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and this may be a question for the attorney. I know the legislature a few years back made sure, and Ms. Fox just indicated, that there's no such thing now as an anonymous complaint. Remember, the double-edged sword is, if somebody is living in a unit and they make the complaint, it's a huge possibility that when these individuals who face a complaint have to update, they're going to evict somebody, right? And the problem with that is, if you're a tenant, you're concerned that I might get evicted for making the complaint. We don't have anything to protect them on the books. And there's nothing that says, as a landlord, you have to rent to anybody. And if they don't evict them, they can jack the rent up, right? And say, well, you're paying $1,500, your lease will end, or your lease they may not even have a lease at the time. The rent now will be, because we have to make all the improvements, $2,000, $2,200, $1,400, an increase. So as we really work through this, we've got to really take a comprehensive approach of how do we protect people at this point who have to allow access, because if you make a code enforcement complaint, you, as a tenant, you can do that, but just know there are, as Ms. Fox indicated, there are going to be repercussions, and no landlord is obligated to rent to anyone. So those are things that people will have to, and we as a board have to really consider. So I don't know where the attorney can chime in on that. What protections do tenants have? Tenants, I know there's the Tenants' Bill of Rights, but where do we fall? Darren?
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
So my first comment was going to be regarding Ms. Fox's comments. Maybe you can give us a clear outline of what could be enforceable, what can't, what the state preempts us on, or what are, basically where are we standing right now, how that impacts the tenant-landlord relationship, and whether there's subpar living conditions. Regarding Commissioner Powell's comments, I completely understand that, because that also happens a lot in the community. But we also have to be able to protect these people who are being taken advantage of. And when we have issues like that continue to happen over and over and over, it gets to these type of conditions where we have one in Pahokee. And this is not the first one that's happened out west. We as a board of commissioners, our job is to try to protect everybody in the community. And we can't protect in fear of what the repercussions might be. And perhaps what we should do is try to see if we can work with our legislators to give protections to some of these tenants, that if they do provide a complaint, they do have a protection. They're not getting kicked out. I don't know exactly what could be done, and I leave that to you guys, the experts. But let's start having these conversations, because I think these conversations are extremely important to be able to protect our community. So thank you so much.
Commissioner Sacks, you're recognized.
Thank you. This is a big issue, and it's an issue where our code enforcement is really handcuffed. If they go to a residence, and if they think there's something going on inside, they don't go inside, and they shouldn't, because they're not law enforcement. We need to maybe have, and I recommend that we have a workshop with code enforcement and PBSO and law enforcement, or somebody representing law enforcement, because if code enforcement goes to a place and they hear something going on inside, it could be animal abuse, could be child abuse, whatever it is, they should have law enforcement with them. Law enforcement can enter a residence if they think a crime is about to be committed, is being committed, or has been committed. Mm-hmm. They don't need to then go to the legislature. They walk inside their law enforcement. And I think at this point, with what we have going on in this county, I think we probably would like to have a little conversation or review with code enforcement in terms of what rights, obligations they have, whether we should make it anonymous, whether on certain routes as they go to, they could have law enforcement with them. I know that when they go out to look at, when I've asked them to go out to look at animal abuse cases, and the people were tough, they bring law enforcement with them. And I think that maybe we should look at some of the parameters where they should, who should go out with them. And I know that you've also prosecuted, or at least you've reviewed legally some of these cases of animal abuse that we found through code enforcement with law enforcement. So at some point, if you think so, Mayor and my colleagues, maybe we should have a conversation, here in front of the board with Michelle Pagan, who does as great a job as she can in code enforcement. I think it's called code compliance. To me, it's still code enforcement. But with them and have a conversation as to how we can have these different avenues to check on people who are inside and are suffering ills.
I think because of the nature of this, it might be better to have those individually.
Whatever you think. That's why I'm just recommending. Whatever you think is fine with me.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. Shannon, while you're standing there, jurisdictionally, how are we allowed to do this? We have business tax receipts countywide, yes. Municipalities also have business tax receipts. So in an issue like this, who has the jurisdiction?
Over what aspect of the issue of it?
Of code enforcement going to someone's home or PBSO going to someone's home. If the complaint is in a municipality, how would the county be able to do anything?
Right, so right now, code enforcement, code compliance enforces in the unincorporated Palm Beach County. And so we do not enforce in any municipality. All the municipalities have their own specific ordinances and their own code officials.
So if we put the portal up and someone in a municipality links into that portal, we then need to direct staff to send that complaint to the municipality in which they reside, because we don't have code compliance in that municipality. That's my only caveat. I don't want to see the problem go away, but I want to make sure that whoever has jurisdiction knows about it and can do it.
And it's also good for us to know, I agree with Commissioner Marino, because if we are giving that individual city dollars for they call it code enforcement, then we should be aware that our dollars are getting spent wisely. Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Actually, Commissioner Marino stole much of my thunder on that for municipalities, but what I was going to ask was if we could make it some sort of, if we're going to build this portal, some sort of like an automatic that it goes to the right jurisdiction. But I, for one, as a district commissioner with 13 cities, if we could also just be notified as a district commissioner, even though we don't have jurisdiction for that, we could help with our connections we have with the city, so that the resident, whoever that resident is, still gets represented by us, even though we're not the ones to enforce it. It would just help that we could follow through in addition to what's going to be done at the city level. Thank you.
Administrator Abruzzo, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And we can build it any way we see fit. I agree with Commissioner Marino on the jurisdiction standpoint. Even going back to our Pahokee discussion, if we move down a road, which hopefully they adhere to and allow our code enforcement, we also have to enter discussions, are we doing it under our code or their code? Those are going to be devil in the details, of course, so hopefully we get to that point where we're having those discussions. But again, I commend Commissioner Flores. We look forward to looking at this in administration of how we can start it off, make it work. We would have to, on the offset, notify those who are filing those complaints that our authority is only in unincorporated at this point. But we're willing to look at everything we can to get this ball
We can
rolling.
also let them know that their complaint has been passed along to the proper authority or
Yes, Madam Mayor.
of that. Thank you. Okay. We will move on to board comments. Commissioner Marino? Commissioner Powell?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to request approval for an off-site proclamation recognizing the National Poetry Month Youth Summit on April 25th, 2026.
I have a motion and by Commissioner Powell, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Please say that the motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor Woodward? Commissioner Flores? Commissioner Weiss? Commissioner Sacks?
Thank you. I have good news. We're going to, as we voted on taking some of the opioid money for tiny homes, we have Tammy Fields here, and we're going to be closing on the first contract for tiny homes at Wayside House. And Ms. Fields, thank you so much for all the work you've done on this. And if you could let us know what date, give the board notice, what date we'll be closing on that, on those tiny homes project at Wayside House.
I'm pleased to report that the contract was signed on both sides as of yesterday. We will be bringing on May 5th the receive and file, so it's official with the Board of County Commissioners. And Wayside House is going to proceed to purchase the units and move forward. And when that happens and they're on the property, we will make sure to invite all of the board for grand opening.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So for myself, a couple reminders. So this weekend, we have the Sweet Corn Fiesta Festival at Yesteryear Village. Starts at 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. I hope everyone can come out, make it, see the corn shucking contest, the corn eating contest. There will be rides for the children. It's just really just a wonderful, amazing outdoor event. So if you're available, I hope everyone can make it. I do not believe there is a cost to get in, and the rides were, I believe, like $1 or $2 for everything. It was one of the most inexpensive things a family could participate in last year. My kids obviously will spend all day on all the rides. But yes, it was very inexpensive. Moving on, we also have the 31st Annual Palm Beach Student Showcase of Film next week, Friday, May 1st at 9:30 a.m. at the Maltz Jupiter Theater. There's going to be 700 students, educators, and a few celebrities are expected to be in attendance. So I hope everyone can make that if you're available. And even though we already said thank you, I'm going to end with a thank you to everyone who has helped these Pahokee residents that were displaced. It's awful to be in that situation. As a mother, I sympathize. I can't even imagine being in that position that some of those families were in. So thank you so much. We also have, there was a proclamation, so forgive me one second. We're going to be doing a proclamation Thursday, April 30th at 11 a.m. If you could please join us for the Holistic Reentry Program supporting our Western communities. The ceremony will be at 1079 Main Street in Belle Glade. And lunch will be served, and Pastor Thicklin will lead us in prayer. So I hope everyone can make that. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. We are adjourned.